Today's code: stop chasing respect and she'll give it naturally. Most women will never understand themselves. You will. I'm Bella. Welcome to the Bella Code. Have you ever wondered why some men barely try and yet women naturally respect them, listen to them, even admire them, while others do everything right and still get overlooked, dismissed, or taken for granted? It's not about luck. It's not about looks. It's about something far more subtle and far more brutal. Because respect doesn't respond to what you do on the surface. It responds to what you signal underneath. And most men are signaling weakness without even realizing it. That's why the harder you try, the more invisible you become. In this video, I'm going to show you 6 behaviors that flip that dynamic completely. So instead of chasing her attention, you become the man she naturally looks up to. Before I walk you through this, take a second to subscribe and let me know what city you're watching from. I always want to see how far this message is reaching, and more importantly, how many men are starting to question what they've been told about relationships, because no matter where you are, the pattern is the same. Now let's get back to this, because what you're about to hear isn't surface-level advice. It's the kind of shift that changes how a woman sees you whether you realize it or not. Let's start with the one thing most men misunderstand: value. You think respect comes from how you treat her, how kind you are, how much effort you put in. But that's not how it works. A woman doesn't sit there and logically decide to respect you. She reacts to how you show up in the world. She reacts to your position, and your position is defined by your value. Now, I need you to hear this clearly. There are 2 types of value: real value and performed value. Performed value is what most men rely on. Talking big, trying to impress, over-explaining your plans, showing off just enough to get validation. It feels like you're building attraction, but what you're actually doing is asking for approval. And approval is the opposite of respect. Real value is quieter. It doesn't need to announce itself. It shows up in your discipline, your consistency, your direction. It's in the way you carry yourself, when you have something real going on in your life. Let me give you a simple picture. 2 men walk into the same room. One of them is constantly checking his phone, making himself available, adjusting his schedule just to fit hers. The other one, he's present, but you can tell he has somewhere to be, something to build, a life that doesn't revolve around her. Guess which one she respects? It's not about arrogance. It's about gravity. People respect what feels solid, what feels like it's moving forward with or without them. And here's where most men get it wrong. They think value is something you show to a woman, but value isn't something you perform. It's something you build when she's not even around. Your career, your skills, your standards, your ability to set goals and actually follow through. That's what creates the signal. Because progress is power. When a woman sees that your life is expanding, that you're not stagnant, that you're not waiting around for her to give your life meaning, something shifts. She doesn't need you to say anything. She feels it. And once she feels that, respect starts to build on its own. Now let me push you a little further. If you're not growing, you're not staying the same. You're declining. And the moment a woman senses that you're stuck, or worse, that you've made her the center of your world, she stops seeing you as someone to look up to. She might still like you. She might still enjoy your company, but respect that slowly disappears. And once respect is gone, everything else follows. So don't ask how to make her respect you. Ask yourself, what kind of man am I becoming when no one is watching? Because that answer is what she's actually responding to. But here's the problem. Even if you build value, even if you get your life together, there's one thing that can destroy all of it in seconds, and that's your inability to control yourself. Now let's talk about something that can erase your value in seconds. Your emotional control. You can have ambition, you can have status, you can have direction, but the moment you lose control of your emotions, all of that becomes irrelevant in her eyes. Because a man who cannot control himself cannot lead anything. And women don't respect chaos. They don't respect instability. They don't respect a man they have to emotionally manage. Let me be very clear. I'm not telling you to become cold. I'm not telling you to suppress everything you feel. That's not strength. That's just avoidance. What I'm telling you is this. You need to be in control. There's a difference between feeling something and being ruled by it. And most men, they swing between two extremes. On one side, you have the explosive man, the one who reacts to everything. Small inconvenience, he snaps. Someone disrespects him, he escalates immediately. Things don't go his way, he loses composure. At first, that might create a sense of intimidation, but intimidation is not respect. It's fear. And fear is unstable. The moment she stops being afraid, she stops respecting you entirely. On the other side, you have the overly emotional man, the one who breaks down too easily, who seeks reassurance constantly, who needs her to regulate his emotions. And here's the truth most men don't want to hear. A woman will comfort you, but she will not admire you if she feels like you're emotionally dependent on her. Now let me show you the difference in real life. You're out at a restaurant. The service is bad, the food is late, something goes wrong. One man starts getting irritated, his tone changes, he raises his voice, he makes a scene, he needs everyone to know he's upset. Another man notices the issue but stays calm. He addresses it directly without emotion taking over. No performance, no drama, just control. Which one do you think she watches more closely? Which one feels like a man who can handle pressure? Because that's what she's really testing, not consciously but instinctively. She's asking herself, if things go wrong, will this man stay grounded or will he become another problem I have to deal with? And the man who stays grounded always wins her respect. Here's the truth, bomb. If your emotions control you, she will never see you as someone she can look up to, because respect requires stability. And stability means you don't collapse under pressure and you don't explode under pressure. You stay centered, you respond instead of react. And when a woman sees that, something shifts inside her. She relaxes, she trusts your presence. She starts to see you as someone solid, not just someone she likes, but someone she can rely on. But even that is not enough, because you can be calm, you can be composed, you can have control and still lose her respect if you fail at something much simpler, if you don't know how to respect her in return. Now here's where a lot of men get confused and quietly sabotage themselves. You say you want respect. You feel like you deserve it. But when I look at your behavior, I see something else. Because respect doesn't exist in isolation. It reflects. You don't get respect because you demand it. You get it because you embody it and extend it. And I'm not talking about being polite. I'm talking about how you actually treat her when it matters. Do you listen or do you dismiss? Do you speak with intention or do you talk down to her when you feel insecure? Do you handle disagreements with control or do you try to win by overpowering? Because every time you disrespect her, even subtly, you lower your own position. Let me make this uncomfortable for a second. Some men believe being dominant means correcting her, controlling her, or putting her in her place. But what she actually feels in those moments is not respect. It's resistance. And resistance kills admiration. Respect is not submission. Respect is recognition. It's her recognizing that you have standards, that you carry yourself with discipline, that you don't need to tear her down to feel elevated. Let me give you a simple scenario. You're in a disagreement. She says something you don't like. A low V-value man reacts emotionally, interrupts, tries to shut her down, or uses sarcasm to regain control. A man who understands respect stays grounded. He listens. He responds directly. He doesn't avoid the conflict, but he doesn't lose himself in it either. And that difference, she feels it instantly. Because people don't respond to what you say. They respond to how you make them feel in your presence. And if she feels disrespected around you, she will never respect you. That's the loop most men don't see. You think you're losing respect because she's difficult or disrespectful, but in reality, you've already set the tone. You trained her without realizing it because you teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate and by how you behave. If you tolerate disrespect, it grows. If you give disrespect, it reflects back. So if you want to change the dynamic, you don't start by demanding more. You start by becoming the standard. Calm, direct, unshakable, not reactive, not needy, not trying to win approval. Because the moment she feels that shift, she adjusts. Not because you forced her to, but because respect has no choice but to mirror it. And yet, even men who get this right still make one mistake that quietly destroys everything. It's subtle. It feels like love, but in reality, it drains all respect out of the relationship. Let's talk about the behavior that kills respect faster than almost anything else. And most men don't even realize they're doing it. Clinginess. And no, it doesn't always look obvious. It doesn't always look desperate on the surface. Sometimes it hides behind care, attention, or just wanting to be close. But a woman doesn't interpret it that way. She reads it as a lack of options, a lack of direction, a lack of self-sufficiency. And once that signal is there, respect starts to fade. In the beginning, it can feel harmless. You text her often, you check in, you make yourself available, you want to spend time together. She might even like it at first. It feels good to be wanted. But then something shifts because attraction thrives on space. Respect thrives on independence. And when you remove both, what's left is pressure. Let me show you what this looks like from her side. You're always there, always replying instantly, always adjusting your schedule around hers, always needing to know what she's doing, where she is, when you'll see her again. At some point, she stops feeling chosen and starts feeling watched. She stops feeling excitement and starts feeling responsibility. And that's where respect begins to die because she no longer sees you as a man with a life. She sees you as someone orbiting hers. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The moment you act like she's the center of your world, she stops seeing you as the center of hers. Not because she's cruel, but because human nature doesn't respect what feels overly available. Scarcity creates value. Space creates curiosity. When you have your own direction, your own priorities, your own life that doesn't depend on her, she feels that. And suddenly your time matters more. Your presence carries weight. Your absence becomes noticeable. That's where respect lives. Now I want you to check yourself honestly. Are you reaching out because you genuinely want to or because you're afraid of losing connection? Are you spending time with her because it adds to your life or because you don't have anything else pulling you forward? Because those two energies feel completely different and she can tell. Here's the line you need to remember. If you act like she's your only option, she will treat you like one. And once that happens, she doesn't need to invest in you. She doesn't need to respect you. She knows you're not going anywhere. So she relaxes, and not in a good way. She relaxes her effort. She relaxes her admiration. And eventually she relaxes her interest. You don't fix that by giving more. You fix that by pulling your life back into your own hands. But even if you get this right, even if you create space, there's still one thing that can quietly destroy your position. And it's not about how often you show up. It's about whether your words mean anything when you do. Now we get into something simpler, but far more brutal. Your word. Most men don't lose respect because of one big mistake. They lose it slowly. Every time they say something and don't follow through, you tell her you'll call and you don't. You say you'll handle something and it never gets done. You promise consistency and then disappear when it's inconvenient. Individually, these things feel small, but to her they stack. And what she starts to see is a man she cannot rely on. Let me ask you something. When someone in your life keeps saying things but never backs them up, how do you treat their words? You stop taking them seriously. You stop investing attention. Eventually, you stop respecting them. That's exactly what happens here. Because respect is not built on what you intend to do. It's built on what you consistently do. And consistency is rare. So when a woman meets a man whose words actually match his actions, it stands out immediately. It signals discipline. It signals control. It signals integrity. All the things respect is built on. Now here's where I need to be direct with you. If you're the kind of man who overpromises to keep her interested, you're already losing because you're trading short-term approval for long-term credibility. And once credibility is gone, you can't negotiate your way back into respect. Here's the truth you need to accept. The moment your word means nothing, so do you. Because now everything you say becomes noise. She listens, but she doesn't believe. She hears, but she doesn't rely. And a man she can't rely on is not a man she respects. So the solution is not complicated. If you're not sure you can do it, don't say it. If you say it, follow through. No excuses, no delays, no emotional reasoning, just alignment between what you say and what you do, because that alignment builds something powerful. It builds trust, and trust is the foundation that holds respect in place. Without it, everything collapses. And even if you get everything right up to this point, there is one final piece that determines whether she truly sees you as a man of authority. Not just someone she likes, but someone she follows. Now we arrive at the final piece. And this is where everything either comes together or falls apart. Independence. Not the surface level version most people talk about. I'm not just talking about having your own place or making your own money. I'm talking about something deeper. Your ability to stand on your own mentally, emotionally, and in your decisions. Because a woman can feel when a man has a center and when he doesn't. And if you don't have one, she will never fully respect you. Let me break this down. There are men who look independent on the outside, but are constantly seeking approval underneath. They ask for opinions on every decision. They hesitate. They adjust based on what others think, including her. Then there are men who are quietly dependent in other ways, emotionally attached, needing validation, needing reassurance, needing her presence to feel stable. And then there's the man who doesn't need any of that. He listens, he considers, but at the end of the day, he decides not out of ego, not out of stubbornness, but because he trusts himself. That's the difference. Because independence is not about rejecting people. It's about not being controlled by them. Now let me give you a situation you've probably seen before. A man who constantly checks with his mother, his friends, or even his partner before making basic decisions. What to do, where to go, how to handle something. At first it might seem harmless, but over time something shifts because she starts to see that you don't really lead your own life. And if you don't lead your own life, how can you lead anything else? That's when respect quietly disappears. Not because you're a bad person, but because you don't feel solid. And respect needs something solid to attach to. Now compare that to a man who moves differently. He asks for input when it matters, but he doesn't depend on it. He makes decisions. He takes responsibility. He stands on them. He doesn't crumble when challenged. He doesn't outsource his identity. And that energy, it's undeniable because it creates something most men never realize they're missing. Authority. Not the loud kind. Not the controlling kind. The quiet kind. The kind that doesn't need to prove itself because it's already there. And here's the final truth I want you to sit with. If you don't lead your own life, no one will ever follow you. Not fully. Not consistently. Not with respect. Because respect isn't given to a man who waits for direction. It's given to a man who already has one. And that's why everything you've heard today comes back to one thing. Not what you say, not what you try, but who you are when no one is guiding you. And once you become that man, you don't need to ask for respect anymore. It shows up on its own. So now you see it clearly. Respect was never about trying harder. It was never about saying the right things, doing more, or proving yourself over and over again. It comes from something much deeper. The way you build your life, the way you carry yourself under pressure, the way you hold your standards without needing validation, the way your words actually mean something, the way you move independently without losing your center. That's what she's responding to. Not your effort, your position. And once you understand that, everything changes because you stop chasing her reactions and you start focusing on who you are becoming. And here's the part most men ignore. You don't lose respect overnight. You lose it slowly through small behaviors you repeat every day. The over-explaining, the emotional reactions, the constant availability, the broken promises, the hesitation. Individually, they feel harmless. Together they define you, but the opposite is also true. Small shifts done consistently rebuild everything. You become more focused, more grounded, more selective, more aligned, and without forcing anything, people start to treat you differently, including her. Because respect is not something you ask for, it's something people feel when they're around you. So if this hits you, don't brush it off. Be honest with yourself. Where have you been giving away your position without realizing it? Type the word respect in the comments if you see it now. And if you're ready to understand female psychology on a deeper level, not the surface advice, but what actually drives behavior, make sure you subscribe. Because the man who understands this is the man who never has to chase respect again.